Hello, guys. Welcome to Confidence Live with me, plus size supermodel Tricia Campbell, confidence, body image, and model coach. I am in Sobano right now. I am in my Zulu hat. Of course, I am joined by Miss Sandra Di Mata. Yes, she is out of South Africa and she is a woman of many crowns. Of course, we talk about, confidence queens. And let me tell you, this young lady, she has over 11 crowns. I met her like 5 years ago while I was coaching the Miss Curvy Body SA competition, and she was the Miss Congeniality. Hello, Sandra. Welcome to
Hi,
Confidence Live.
hi, Trish. It's so good to see you. Mwah, 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 mwah. I cannot believe the impact you have had on my life, and from all the way from South Africa. Meeting you in 2017, I was just shy and petrified. And yeah, it's not about the crowns or the sash, really. Is what you taught us was the importance of purpose and understanding why this grabs you so importantly. And 5 years later, I'm like going, oh my goodness, it was, if you asked me 5 years ago where this journey with you would have taken me, I would never have imagined. So
Wow.
thank you so much for welcoming me on, and to all the viewers, mwah, 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 you are in the best hands, I can assure you.
Ah, that's so sweet. Just so sweet, Sandra. So why did you enter the Miss Curvy Body in the first place? What was going on in your life at that time?
Yeah, man, this was crazy. So I'm always, I've always seen myself as an optimistic, kind of happy-go-lucky girl, and life happens. And I remember growing up in a very Latino home, and I started to realize from a very young age that men and women were treated differently in my community. And there were so many judgments towards being a different looking woman, a woman with curves. It was kind of frowned upon. You cannot do modeling, you can't do this, you can't do that. And well, being the peacemaker that I am, I just stayed in my lane. And I love this saying. They say when you want to make a God laugh, tell him your plans. And so I've been in corporate for 27 years. I'm a specialist wellness and a trauma counselor, and I do a lot of work around self-development and self-mastery. And what happened in 2015 was really crazy. So I was always healthy. I was swimming. I was a bigger girl, but I was healthy. And that was one thing you really got us to focus on, is about stay healthy, mind, body, and soul. And it was a crazy thing. I went in for a procedure in the hospital, and I said to my team, I'll be back in 2 days. And 4 months later, I still had not returned. So unfortunately, what happened in South Africa, we had so many surgeries on that day. And I got operated on and left open for 96 minutes in theater. And I developed a superbug called septicemia.
What?
So, yeah, it was
So,
insane.
I mean, here, that's a lawsuit ready to happen. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sorry you had to go
yeah.
through that. That is just,
Uh,
thank God
I,
you're,
I,
you're alive and well.
it was probably, I know it sounds crazy, but it may have been one of the best eye-opening experiences of my life, because I think I took things for granted. You
Mhm.
kind of do your best, and I was always a hardworking girl. I came up from a very spiritual family.
Mhm.
And so anyway, your infection counter when they take your bloods every day should be cannot be higher than 5.
Mhm.
Mine was 437. And it was so scary. I remember lying there thinking, when your health is affected so badly, your family are around you crying, everything gives you perspective.
Mhm.
Anyway, fast forward, they called my family and it was time to say goodbye. And lo and behold, 2 weeks later, I wake up in a coma from a coma,
Oh my
and I
God.
remember
Oh,
waking up.
good.
It was insane. I remember feeling so peaceful, and then waking up and go, there's just a very significant feel about being in a hospital. And I went, oh, I have all these pipes. I couldn't eat. I couldn't walk. I had to learn to talk again. And
Mhm.
I survived. I survived. It was crazy. And it was,
Jesus.
yay! So
Yes,
I
you are here
always,
as well.
yeah.
That's why I named this topic Walk in Your Purpose, no matter the circumstances, because you went through
Mm,
life threatening. You kind of could say you died and you came back. And with
yeah,
that you've been through, just all these things that you are doing right now, I'm super excited to for you to tell the audience all these things that you are doing, and how you came about doing that. So all of this went on, and then the pageant came about. Like, so tell me the time span after you
I
recovered.
healed.
Yeah.
It was about a year after this happened. I know I was in a wheelchair, and I was really sick, and a lot of my organs had shut down. And I remember losing 17 kilos in 11 days. And
Mm.
I thought, yay, but it wasn't weight, it was organs bleeding out. And I said, if I lay there in the hospital, and I said to the Lord, I said, Lord, I cannot even die properly. Who does that?
Oh,
So
Sandra, no, no, you did
I
not.
I
You.
was sick and I was excited at the same time. And in that moment, I remember going, if I make it, I made it a deal, which you shouldn't do negotiating. I was hustling. I said to the Lord, I said, if I make it out of this bed alive and out of this hospital, I give myself the promise to be unapologetically myself and to do all the things that people had told me. You cannot do modeling, you cannot be in fashion because you're too curvy, or you're too this and you're too that. And I almost had this awakening experience about I had not reached my purpose. And so about a year later, I have been running a lot of campaigns called uh, bullying is very big in the African continent. So I go to the schools and I run this no to bullying and body shaming campaigns,
Mhm.
and no to gender-based violence. Unfortunately, in South Africa, every hour, 1 out of 3 women is murdered, or children is murdered because of gender-based violence. And so we've brought out an amazing project, which I'm going to tell you about.
Yeah.
And I I then started doing these talks in schools, and this was all voluntary work. And I just felt that I had something to share. I had an example, and I was saying to a lot of the girls, you have to own your space. You have to know your purpose. And I'll never forget, we have so many younger girls in the communities in the rural areas, 6, 7, and 8 years old, and they're bigger girls. And they were being told by their rapists that because they had a bigger body, they were going to be treated like women. And this did not sit well in my soul. And I
Mhm.
knew that my journey to humanitarianism had started way back when I was 14 already, but I knew if ever I had a voice, it
Mhm.
had to be now.
Right.
And a friend of mine said to me, you're always encouraging no to bullying, no to body shaming. I tell you what, I signed you up for this Miss Curvy Body, and I laughed. I laughed so loud. I was
Yes.
like, yeah, sure. And I knew that I couldn't win it. I'd never done a pageant in my life. You
Right.
had to be under the age of 39. I was already 40, naughty 40. And I
Yeah.
was just like, yeah, okay,
Oh,
I'll
and
go.
you're
And then
240. Oh, well, that's so cute. Rafaelina is commenting, and she's saying she understands what you've been through. I'm glad you have
Oh,
waiting in your life and that you are going to follow your dreams. Good luck. Yes,
oh.
Alina, she won 11 pageants after. Yeah, she's going to talk more, but we're going to dive right into that. Thanks for joining, Rafaelina. Nice to see you.
Bless you, Rosalina.
Yes.
Gracias. Wow, Bella, gracias.
Yes.
And so I went to audition. I looked completely different to everybody else, but I was cool. I was owning my stuff. I was working. I was I was like, hey, it was amazing. I met such amazing people. I met Mapule, who was then the most amazing instrument to bringing you to us in Africa. And I was like, yeah, this is cool. This is fun. And lo and behold, I make it into the final. And I'm like, what? And I was like, you cannot pull out now. Because I was like, yeah, practice what you preach. Practice what you preach. And I thought, oh, this is still so much fun. And then they flew you in from New York. And I was like, what? And I'm like, Tricia Campbell? I'm like, I'm in. I'm in. Yeah, I'm in. I'm in. It's
Yeah.
so crazy. I was like, oh! And
Yeah.
Trish, you changed my life forever.
Oh my, you made me
2017.
cry, Sandra, when you say that. Because my life is because I went through that as a young woman. I almost died when I was 13 years old. I starved myself because I entered Miss
Mhm.
Jamaica and they told me that I was too fat. My face was beautiful. They love my talent. I'm intelligent, but can you lose your belly and your hips? And I went on a crazy crash diet, almost killed myself. So from then, it's always been my mission to empower and uplift women all over the world, and to get the opportunity to come to South Africa to encourage and uplift, the ladies who were in the pageants. And you all were so amazing, but there was something special about you, not because you look different, but because I could tell you had that light inside of you. And it was always because of course, what you have a second chance of life right now, and you're
Yeah.
really using your purpose no matter the circumstances you've been through to really help others. And I really take my hat off to you, and you deserve everything that you're doing. And yeah, that's just how I feel about it. So 11 beauty titles, beauty queen titles. Can we name all of them? I mean, I know you for Miss Royalty and Miss Curvy Body. So you become
Yeah.
Miss Congeniality. You got a taste of the Miss Curvy Body essay. You're doing your duties from that. I guess you got the beauty queen bug. What did you do after?
You
Let us
know,
know.
I still think it's surreal because I'll never forget when you gave us this really deep thought. And the first thing when we met you, I was like, I was too scared to come near you. I was like, oh, and then I got to see how real you are, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so nice. And you did some Zumba dancing, and you started off with exercise. I will never forget how much I value the message about its health over anything else. And you
Yeah,
were like, girls, if you want to get straight, if you want get healthy, stay fit, keep moving. You kept saying keep moving,
yes.
and I just I was in awe. I remember you taught us how to walk. I was like, keep moving, keep moving. I cannot listen to Zumba music without thinking about. And you taught us how to walk. It was my first time ever. I was, oh my goodness, this is not for me. And then practice, practice, practice. I remember you were like, come on, let's go back, dude. And I was like, okay, I'm in this. And the optimism, I was so excited for different reasons because it was a purpose. This was nothing to do with the crown or the sash, but the purpose behind. And this is what I love with Miss Curvy Body. They have this thing, it says beauty with a purpose. And I was like, oh, okay, inner beauty is so important.
Yes.
And I promised myself that if ever I entered any pageant, that I would always make sure I understood the purpose of this pageant. And if it didn't have a purpose that was aligned to my own values and congruent, then I would not do it. And so I usually go to a lot of these sessions. And what I say to the girls, I take all the sashes, all the crowns, and I go into the communities and I say to the girls, you know what? This is just the crown. And I do this. I'm like, you don't need this. You don't need this crown. You know,
Yeah.
some days you feel like your crown has fallen off, or it's, you don't need this. I'm taking it out of my hair. I take it out and I let them wear it. I say to them, you are greater than any crown. You are greater than any sash. And I started writing poetry. I wrote a thing about who are you beyond the crown and beneath the sash. And it's been so empowering with the girls in the different communities. And I take it off and I'm like, here, there we go.
Yes.
You
Well,
know,
that is
I
so beautiful.
flip it around.
That
They
is
have
so
so much
beautiful.
fun.
Yeah,
And
that is so great. I mean, because a lot of young ladies all over the world, whether black or white or Asian, Latina, they struggle with low self-esteem, low body image, and especially now with social media, it's a whole different ball game. Like, young ladies compare themselves. They think that, to live up to society's unrealistic side of beauty, that's the only way they're going to be accepted. Even
yeah.
if they're very educated, a lot of young women, they still rely on, oh, like a man is not going to love me, nobody's going to love me if I'm not a certain way. And I just love that, you are teaching them differently, that beauty is from the inside. That is one of my number one things that I teach my ladies too, and women who are encouraging pageants and brides. I'm working with a lot of brides now too, to let them know that your beauty comes from inside within, no matter what you've been through. So
It's
yeah.
so, so true. It was so powerful. And I say to them, you were born with an invisible crown that was placed on your head by your maker. And you
Yes.
were born from his perfection. Just because you look different or you may like different things, you are gorgeous. And the only person who has to know that is you. And I don't say this to impress anybody, but rather to impress upon them that if you have a dream or a purpose that you know is unfulfilled, listen to this inner voice inside of you. Let the inner child come out and go, yay, I'm a size 16. And
But
it's
I'm
okay.
beautiful. Yes. I'm beautiful and I'm doing it and I'm winning it. Yes. So when I met you in the pageant, I was like, this young lady is different. The
Oh,
energy, your vibe. I mean, talk about high vortex vibe. You were in that already. So were you already at that time a wellness counselor and a neuro linguistic programmer? Were you already all those things before you went through your sickness and entered the pageants?
yes. So I've been a specialist wellness counselor and neurolinguistic programming practitioner for the last 17 years. And
Wow.
I never thought that how powerful neuropsychology is in trying to reset your mind and getting a new frame of mind to say, this is a vessel. And if I am going to own my truth, if I am going to speak about being in your true north and walking your walk and believing in you, when you got you and you become the CEO of your own life, nobody's going to shut you down. And
Yes.
I saw this a lot, especially through the pandemic. So many people lost so much self belief and self esteem, having gone through, I think, what we were never prepared for. And the one thing, Trish, I always tuned in to your classes and I listened to your sessions because I was like, if Trish is dancing, I'm dancing because we're all in lockdown and it is okay to have a bad day. It's okay to have I call it a duvet day, where you put the duvet back over your head and you're like, okay, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna eat ice cream, but
Yeah.
after 48 hours, I have
Yeah. Just get it out your system. Yeah.
eat
Hmm. Yeah.
and let it go. Let it go. It's not.
Mhm.
It, if it's eating you up inside, if it's hurting you. And I had a lot of people speaking to me over this time, and it gave us so much perspective about when everything is gone, when our connection is with things and jobs and titles is taken away from us. I always ask people to think about something you got me to think about, and that is, who are you really, 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 when nobody is watching?
Yeah.
And this is what, for me, if you understand your values and what you were meant to do, and you
Mhm.
might just be figuring it out, um, just be crazy enough to try, because what have you got to lose?
Yes.
And I've seen in my practice, I run my consultancy. I do international as well. It's called My Self Mastery, and I'm on My Self Mastery. Um, www.myselfmastery.co.za. I have a web page, and I was just giving from my heart abundantly, counseling and helping individuals, volunteering as a humanitarian,
Hmm.
to help them understand that happiness, just like beauty, has to be deep, deep
Right.
inside.
Inside.
And
Right.
it you were such a motivating factor. I mean, I was having the duvet days sometimes. I was like, okay, this is not cute anymore. We're in day 600 and what? And I would listen to you.
In COVID. Yeah. In COVID.
Yeah,
And shout out to my spiritual mom. She was that thing for me too. Like we would pray and she'd be like, you know what, Trisha, like let's get on live and let's encourage more people and just uplift people because this is a tough time. We don't know what's gonna happen next. This is all over the world that this is happening, and so many people are like mentally scared right now because as you said, if things were taken away, we were not socially around a lot of people, we were enclosed and we couldn't go to parties, we couldn't shop, we couldn't, like, it was just like you really have to take the time and look at yourself, on your inner self, and really get to know who you really are at that time. Like a lot of us were forced to really know who you are. Like a lot of people don't know who they really were before COVID. And
yeah,
they did not know the type of, they knew the quality of life that they probably would want, but they were like scared of it. You just like on a hamster wheel, like kept on going
yeah.
and going. Yeah.
And
So
also having to reinvent the way your purpose may be taking you.
yes.
And that was something you really helped me with, was understanding the world is changing. And even if you're on your own, remember the key fundamentals that you've learned and that you taught us was, know who you are, know thyself first. And it's okay to have moments of weakness. And I
Yes.
was just in awe. I love your spiritual mom. I'm sending her kisses, because you guys would do like church and prayer on Sunday, and crazy. I think as much as COVID tore a lot of people apart, I've never felt more connected, because
Oh,
all of a sudden you have somebody who's, I felt like I was in your home and I was singing and preaching, and at the same time the world became smaller, and if it's changed the way the world operates. We've proven now that we can operate virtually,
yes.
and at any time anything can happen.
Yeah.
But I think what I see in my practice is that um there was either or. So in the pandemic, people either came out ignited, refreshed, and awakened with their
Mm,
purpose, or they are still not listening or being in tune, and maybe they're not ready, and that's also okay.
yeah.
But to know to know that faith and courage like a crazy woman, like you have to chase this passion inside of you, like it was the last bus available for the to get home that night.
Yeah.
You have to keep chasing this.
Yes.
And I felt a lot of the manifestations and the visioning and the meditation and silencing of the mind was so important. And there was a very difficult thing in South Africa that happened, and that was that our gender-based violence statistics just went through the roof. I decided in this same time to go back and do some more studying, and I did my thesis on gender-based violence.
Oh,
And
wow.
unfortunately, yeah, it's in South Africa, we came number one for gender-based violence in the world. It's
So sad.
really, really heartbreaking. Yeah.
Really. And why do you
And
think that is, Sandra? Why do you think there's so much gender-based violence? I know, well, I'm from Jamaica originally, so during COVID, we had a lot of gender-based violence highlighted. I don't know about now that COVID is a little kind of over, but why do you think that is in South Africa?
so, and I did a lot of research around this. I think it was already a problem prior to the pandemic, but the pandemic worsened it. So what happened is there is mass unemployment. There's a 53% of people are unemployed, and this was during COVID. It's now up to 58% of people. So people had lost jobs. They had could not provide for their families. We have a lot of poverty. So I think people just really lost the plot. I think they couldn't handle the pressure, and they will go home and beat. And most of the violence is somebody you know, and it's an intimate partner, and they were just so frustrated and no way to take their frustrations out, and so they resorted to violence. And we had alcohol bans. People were going crazy. Cigarette smoking bans. I don't think people have developed the skills of self-control, emotional intelligence, and regulation. And it was terrible. We, in 1 hour, to this day, in 1 hour in South Africa, one out of every three women or children are murdered. Not even just abused or raped, they are murdered because of gender-based violence. We also have some men in the safe homes that we're helping with hashtag Project Rage, and it just got crazy. It's just crazy. And I see road rage, I see all type of rage. I think there, number one, is not enough as infrastructure to support. Hi.
This is a supermodel, one of the first models to do a Gucci campaign. Yes, she's a supermodel. Hey, Nadine,
Wow.
how are you doing?
Oh,
Nice to see you. Yes,
good
thanks for
night.
joining, Nadine. This is Sandra. Yes, she is
Mm.
an 11th time beauty crown winner from South Africa, of course. And of course, an advocate for anti-bullying, no gender-based violence and all of that. And just an awesome, awesome young lady doing her thing. Yes. So she's like, hi, Sandra, happy Monday.
Hi. Oh, wow. I love
Yeah.
Gucci too.
Yeah, she was like
um,
she's a trailblazer. You know, she was up there with like Naomi Campbell was scared of her. I mean, like, oh yeah, what are the stories? I can't wait for your book to come out, Nadine. Her book is gonna be
um,
awesome. I gotta interview her here on here. She has some amazing stories to
um,
tell, you know, about the whole background of the whole fashion and all that industry.
Oh, Nadine, I'm booking your first book. I'm gonna make sure I'm the first South African to buy your book.
Yes,
I'm writing a book now too.
congratulations.
Um, ah,
Yeah.
it's been a crazy journey, but I think like with the pandemic, I had so much time to reflect, um and I believe there is so much beauty in everybody's story and sharing. I'm also working on my book, Nadine. It's really difficult to write about your stories, and people they might see this face and go, oh, she's always happy. And I'm like, oh, you gotta know, ask my kids. You know, and it's about getting real. And my book is gonna be out soon. Well, hopefully before Christmas. And
Yeah.
it's called From Rage. It's called From Rage to Redemption.
Oh, I
And
love that name. Wow. Very nice.
wow, it's
That's
it's
great.
my I thank you. And it really, I speak about, you know, being 5 years old. I speak a lot about being bullied and a lot of the pains that we suppress that come out in adult life in the choices that we make. And but when you can look at that stuff and forgive yourself and the
Mhm.
inner child within you, if you can go back and fetch the inner child within you and go, I got you, kiddo. I got you.
Yeah.
And if I can just give any encouragement to anybody who is feeling despondent and disheartened, this will be, if I can just touch the life of one person, is it's so important. I live by the concept of paying it forward. A lot
Yes.
of the volunteer work I do as a humanitarian, you do it with no pay. It's long, long hours,
Yeah.
but it's the most soul feeding work you can do. And especially working in the safe homes with the victims of gender based violence, from little children to adults. I think they're helping me more than I'm helping them,
Yes.
because I always have this dream that I wish, and I remember saying this in that hospital bed. I said, Lord, if I get out of this hospital, all I ask is just one thing. Let people see your love for them through me,
Amen.
please.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not done. And the next time I will be successful, but I'm gonna be like over 90 with big rings, and I'm still gonna be the cha-cha queen.
Right,
So
that glamour,
yeah,
glamour, that awesome, beautiful
glamour.
beauty queen. Yes. So okay, so I guess we could segue into you creating Project Rage. Tell us about what that is.
Oh, wow. So it's hashtag Project Rage. And I wish I had created it, but I will not take the credit. Project Rage is the brainchild and passion of a phenomenal doctor
Oh,
in South Africa, an amazing humanitarian. His name is Dr. Mark Rampling. So I'm giving him a big shout out for creating this
hello, sister.
this amazing initiative. And he created a pledge that says no blood on my hands. And what we do is we go into all the communities, all diverse communities, and we read out this pledge. And it's about, this is a cause for which I'm willing to die. No more blood will flow through this land. It is a
Mhm.
very powerful pledge. And we ask men to stand in unison with us. My dream is, I always visualize all the men in a firewall circle, holding all the women and children inside, so safe. And to not be the bystander who sees abuse. It can be emotional, psychological, financial, and physical. Is probably most of the victims say the physical part is the easier one, because you have a beginning and an end to a hiding. But the
Right.
emotional and psychological abuse with the narcissistic tendencies,
Yeah.
this can scar you for life. And also there are little kids that are watching this and creating worldviews for
Mhm.
themselves.
Yeah.
And so we have
How
this place.
women in your country or done like consultation calls with them, and that's one of the first struggles that they have with their body is men,
Yeah.
their communities or even their families telling them that you're fat, like you're not beautiful,
Mm,
and like really putting down their women. So a lot of South African women deal with that. I mean, not only South Africa, I'm sure all over the world, but it's rampant there a lot.
yeah.
And I think a lot of
Well,
them, they're just scared of the violence that's going to happen. So even if they want to help a woman, they're terrified for their life. So they rather not say anything. Is that what
yeah.
goes
Yes. So A lot of the cases don't even get reported because there's so much gangster violence as well. And
Yeah.
they know in the communities, especially the rural communities, is if you go up against anybody, they come after your family. The next thing, your brother is murdered, or it's just crazy. So women and children are petrified to speak up. And we also don't have a very solid infrastructure here to handle the cases properly.
Mhm.
I know in so many of the police stations, they don't even have enough rape kits. They don't
Mhm.
have a female presence to support. And a lot of dockets go missing.
Mhm.
You can buy a docket, which is a report, a complaint. You
Mhm.
can buy a docket, somebody told me, for something like $2. And
Mhm.
that goes missing. And that's not okay. So, what we've done in Project Rage, together with Dr. Mark Ramsing, we've created a unity of professionals. So,
Mhm.
for example, where I will help out with the counseling at no charge, this is a gift. I call it my Jesus work. Then we
Oh,
get,
that's great. Your Jesus
yeah,
work.
I love it. It's my Jesus work. And we don't even go to the police stations. We go straight to the magistrate's court and we
Mhm.
get a restraining order. And then we are able to put them in a safe home. And we try to feed and help as many people as we can. It's heartbreaking, you know.
Hi,
Hi.
Nadine. Hi, Nadine.
It's
Yeah, we had
heartbreaking.
two Nadines. Okay, what? Yes. Hi, Nadine. Nice. Nice to see you.
Um, in one area in South Africa, we have 52 safe homes, and we have to protect the kids and keep them safe. And if you thought that COVID facilities were rough, some of these homes literally just have blankets on the floor, not even a mattress. And we are just having everybody sleeping on the floor just to keep them safe.
So the
And
government
we cannot.
doesn't, I'm sorry, Sandra. This is really hurting my heart. So the government does not provide help to, is this a nonprofit organization or?
So this is a non-profit organization, and unfortunately, the government is not responsive. I know that they drew up something in 2015 called the National Strategic Plan for Gender-Based Violence in 2015, and to date, there is nothing. None of it has been applied. They have a call center. It just rings. This doesn't exist. So
Mhm.
sadly, we have a beautiful country, but we have a lot of corruption at
Yeah.
those levels of decision making. And the funds have been misused. And so, what we do at Project Rage is we really rely on the love and kindness of each other and each other's society.
Mhm.
And if you follow us on hashtag Project Rage, you will see we're often asking just for now, it's going to be winter soon. So, little hot water bottles and blankets. Because what is the new pandemic in South Africa is gender based violence. But worst of all, we have something called load shedding in South Africa where they switch off your power for maybe 4 or 5 times in the day for between 2 to 4 hours because we don't have enough resource to provide enough electricity.
Mhm.
And in the homes, we are literally giving out candles and our victims are freezing, freezing cold, and you want to try and build them up and keep their dignity. Some
Yeah.
of our victims have come from very, very affluent societies, and they finally got the courage to speak up.
Oh,
And
wow.
they trust in Project Rage to make a difference, to represent them. And I think the worst sentence I heard for a gender-based violence case this year was someone was given 21 weeks in a prison.
Mm.
And next thing you know, that person is on the street again and
Yeah.
they're
And
going to hurt somebody else.
the next time. So okay, so say I'm a battered woman and I have my kids and I'm scared and I'm terrified and I don't know where to go. How can women, are we talking Johannesburg? Are we talking Like where are is Project Rage mostly? Like how do
So
would I get help?
how would you get help? So this is what I'm so excited about, is that Dr. Mark Ramsing's vision was just so beautifully godly ordained, and so it will be godly maintained. I believe it. So we've launched it in South Africa, and all you have to do is go to the Facebook page. So it's hashtag Project Rage, or you can. We really want to encourage people to go to our webpage, which is www.projectrage.net. So it's
Mhm.
easy to remember. If you're switching on Netflix, remember to go to projectrage.net and just take the pledge. It's for free. You'll read the pledge that says, I will not be part of this. No more blood will flow through the land. And you can accept the pledge. And what is so exciting is that what started as a little team in South Africa, I have seen this being launched now in Portugal. I was there in November. It's
Nice,
we're in the newspapers. We're in Brazil, in Angola, in Mozambique, and
nice.
now we want everybody to know, like it's now in the US for everybody, and everybody is welcome. You don't have to be from Africa or South Africa. We are here to provide a service to the world. So we
Yeah,
want to give something to God's people by God's people, and
yes,
it's to the world. So if
yes.
there's anybody in the US who feels they need some support or some call, we have a number that you can call, and
Mhm.
I can pop that into the details.
Comments for the replay. Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, I will do that. I'll put it in there.
I just
And
love
we would love to help. We would love, we have a team of skilled counselors, coaches, and even if we're in South Africa, I mean, like right now it's 2:30 in the morning.
yeah,
We
I
are ready. We're
about to
here for
say, I
your
wanted
call.
you to go because I know it was your birthday. You celebrated, you danced, had a good time, and you stayed up for this interview because it's like almost 3 a.m. now in South Africa. It's only 8:30, quarter to 9 in America, right?
Oh,
So my
for
last thing
you,
that I want to ask
anytime.
you though is that after all this, you actually came to America and you spoke at Harvard. Just test on a little bit of that really
Yeah.
quickly before you go. That sounds so exciting.
Okay. Um, you know, I really believe that be careful what you dream about, because you might just get it. Be careful what you ask for, you might get it. As a little girl, so a lot of my family members live in the US, my cousins. I remember having a little magnet from Harvard that one of my cousins gave me as a little girl. I was 8 years old. I said, I'm going to talk in Harvard one day. I'm going to be at Harvard. I'm going to go to Harvard. And I was like, and lo and behold, just before the pandemic, um, I was invited to Harvard. It was crazy. I thought they had the wrong email address, but I had met the one of the ladies who worked. I
So
went anyway.
after
There
all,
was a lady. I still think I got there. I was like, oh yeah, with my flamboyant African outfits, and
of
she
course.
was so beautiful. I met her at reception where I was working at like a. It was a company that's like a broadcasting company. And I showed her around the building because I thought she cannot go sit in the airport for 6 hours. And
Yeah.
it wasn't safe. I took her around and she contacted me 2 weeks later. She said, you told me so much about this work that you're doing as a humanitarian, to no to bullying and body shaming and no to gender-based violence. She goes, your passion is crazy, but I love it. And tell me about how you're empowering women to have the confidence to develop skills. To what we do is we run with Project Rage empowering skills, teaching them how to cook and how to sew so that they can have a little bit of respect
Yeah.
money. And if they have to have a runaway account, they are giving themselves permission to
Mhm.
be empowered. And she invited me there. It was just before the pandemic. I am so grateful. I remember I got to Harvard, I was in tears. And
Oh,
I got to speak about to over 300 business partners around the world. I got to speak to people about gender-based violence and bullying and body shaming. And
mm,
when you think the world is not watching, and one person just goes, "Hey," and I was like, what? And now I'm like, I got to Harvard, and I got a bigger magnet now.
I'm sure they're probably going to invite you back, definitely. So I can see why
Oh,
you are Miss Congeniality and you have all those definitely crowns. So what is in the future for you? And if someone is watching who is going through like a gender-based violent situation right now, what can you tell her or him? Because sometimes a lot of men struggle with this secretly because, of course, it's not macho to let somebody know that you're being violated also. So
yeah.
any word of advice for anyone like that?
And I want you to, the advice that I would like to give anybody who's feeling like they're being disrespected or they're not, their integrity is not withheld. It is a human right. Dignity and freedom is a human right. And the first thing I want to tell them, it is not your fault. Whatever has happened or what is happening, it is not your fault. Nobody has the right to belittle you or take away your right to humanity. The second thing is reach out, speak out to somebody you can trust. Go to a counselor like myself or approach us at Project Rage. We have pretty much heard it all, and we can really help you to try and build up your life again, give you some skills and empowerment skills. And with the men that are watching, I first of all want to say if you're a man who is someone who stands up against the abuse of anybody, regardless of a female, male, I salute you. I really do. In some of our homes, we have some men as well. We have some policemen who are living with abusive women. I have a big police guy, and he's married to a little lady who's she's just not okay mentally, and she throws him with hot water because he's been late, and it he took 2 years to get the courage to say to me, I always tell you this bruise and this bruise is because of my work as a policeman, but actually my demon is in my bedroom. And it's okay. Yeah, it's heartbreaking to see
Sorry.
um, the world. It can be a little bit crazy. And Dr. Mark Ramsing has created a program called Men of Valor, which says even if you are a previous abuser, even if you want to have help, if you want to know how to cope and you're a victim, he runs a program called Men of Valor. He also has a book that he's written that goes along with that, and a fantastic program that we run. It's called Game Over to Game On. And
Mm,
he shares a lot of his own personal convictions, and tied in with biblical principles.
mhm.
And we've seen amazing results with this program that Dr. Ramsing has put on. It's from Game Over to Game On.
Nice.
We've made it
And that's for the
extremely
men.
affordable.
That's for the men. Because I know a lot of men are like, women have so many podcasts, they have so many coaches, so many mentors, so many things. A lot of men are
Yeah.
like, where are the outreach for us? So this is a great
Yeah.
program. Thanks for sharing that.
And so the program, I mean, we're even running programs for teenagers, and
Mhm.
we run it for men, women. But the men have a very different uh, kind of feel to it. We customize the program developed by Dr. Ramsing, and we can run it online. It is incredibly powerful because it makes you look at your mindset, your where you're coming from, what may have brought you to this point in your life, and the results have been life changing. I always, sometimes when it gets tough, I think to myself, come on, okay, this is the last year. And this is what I want to say about purpose is it's going to chase you. So you
Yes.
cannot give up. It's going to haunt you. And
So,
it's a good thing. I was in the store the other day, and I remember a very brutal case that came to my attention about 4 years ago. It was a gang rape on a 13-year-old girl. It was
oh,
terrible.
oh,
It was
Jesus.
awful. And this lady came up to me, and she's now a bigger girl. She's 18. and she had her mask on because it was COVID, and she said, Sandra D. And I'm like, and she's like, it's me, Lorato. And I was like, Lorato, is that you? She wanted to give up on her life. And she called her daughter, her 3-year-old daughter, and she said, let's sing the song. And I made up a song. We do a lot of NLP, which is fun,
Yeah.
dancing, making learning so much fun. And it goes, this is my body's no one's but mine. You stick to your body, I'll stick to mine. When we're alone and you hear me say no. And this little girl was singing the song. I have tears. I was like, she said, you believed in me. You sat with me through my anger, through my pain. And it wasn't me, it was the work of the Lord.
Yes.
And she's just been accepted to do criminal law. Can you believe it? She's doing criminal law, and she's going to start studying, and she's already got a whole empowerment project. And
Oh,
I
wow.
think when we don't understand the magnitude of what woman empowerment can mean, and
Yes.
also to have our brothers by our sides and to say, men, we love you and we salute you. And
Yes.
thank you for being there to stand by us with
Mhm.
integrity and respect.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Sandra, it was a pleasure speaking to you today because it's already Tuesday in South Africa. Yes,
Yeah, it's been Tuesday for some time.
yes,
It's
Tuesday. You
almost
don't,
three.
please don't sleep. Yes, I thank you for
Lucky.
coming on, and thank you for being, doing your empowerment work, your philanthropic work, all of that. And I know it doesn't probably feel like work to you, but as you said, when someone like that like comes to you and say, "Oh my God, I'm going to law school, criminal law school," after what you helped her go through, that is just that's it's just priceless. It really, really
It's,
is priceless. Definitely. Yes.
it's so
So
true.
I can
It makes
see
the
you in
hard
your
work
crown
worth
one
it.
last time. Where's your crown? Where's your crown?
Oh, here we go. And this is my message. We keep crowning up, rising up, and praying up, and never giving up.
And never give up. Oh, yes, definitely. All right, Sandra, it was so good talking to you. Again, thank you, ladies, for coming on. Rafalina,
Thank
Nadine,
you so much.
you guys. If you could also watch this on a replay anytime, because of course it is late in South Africa right now. But we just love that we were live with you. Thank you so much again, Sandra. Until next time, keep it glamour,
Until next time,
glamour,
glamour, glamour.
glamour, glamour.
Bye bye.
Bye.